So my name is Arpan Patel, and over the years, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of organizations. The one that I'm currently involved in is called New York Cares, and what they do is they work with communities in and around New York City and New Jersey in providing health services, in providing food and shelters for the homeless, counseling, among a variety of other services. One of the organizations that I was working with last year, we were actually talking about sustainable and eco-friendly products and services that we're advocating for. And one of the things that we worked on with an amazing group of women was designing menstrual pads that were from, sustainable and eco-friendly products. For example, we took bamboo leaves, we took cotton, and we sort of combined those things and made them into pads. And we were distributing these to communities that did not have access to these products because, either it was not affordable or it was just, a taboo to talk about these things. So that was one of the things that we did. The other thing was we tried to incorporate sexual education into climate justice. And by that, I mean, whenever we were holding seminars or whenever we were going out and talking to people in the communities, we were also having these conversations with them because I believe it's important that, these things are talked about in our communities so people can become aware of them and we sort of destigmatize, these topics that are something that's very, very important for all of us. The biggest way that they sort of, interrupt sexual reproductive rights is whenever these, events happen, whenever be it wildfires, the first thing is we're displaced from our communities. So instantly we lose access to these healthcare facilities. We lose access to be it our counselors, our doctors, or community members that we trust. So we lose that access. The second would be, getting your hands on important medications, or if you have questions about, how my body is working and why I'm going through certain things. So you lose access to those things as well. That's why, again, I would like to reiterate that it's important that we, even if we're going out on a climate rally, when we meet people, we need to have conversations about sexual reproductive rights. We need to have conversations about comprehensive sexual education. Last year, I had the opportunity to work with a couple of high schoolers, and we were trying to get the school, if there was a possibility, to adopt comprehensive sexual education in their syllabus because, unfortunately, I don't know if you've heard about it or not, in America, there is currently a campaign going on where parents don't want their children to learn about sexual health and sexual reproduction and consent and all of that. I think those are the most important people in terms of having these conversations because they are, people that have sort of a hand on both sides. I know for a lot of patients, they feel comfortable if there's a midwife present when, they're going through pregnancies or when they're going through that whole process of giving birth. So for midwives, they can actually advocate for climate justice just as much as they can advocate for, these sort of health rights and reproductive rights. And one of the ways they can do that is having these conversations. They can incorporate sustainable ways in their practices whenever they're taking care of their patients. If there's a way to do reduction of waste management or sort of recycling certain things, in that way they can be a very important focal point between reproductive rights and climate justice. So let's talk about the climate crisis. When that happens, depending on the nature of the event that happens, the first thing that you might go through is you'll be displaced. I know a lot of people have migrated due to climate events. They've had to move to different places. And when you sort of migrate, you already have that stress of, you're unsure where you will end up. You're unsure how, you're going to survive in those kind of situations. And when that comes up, you have to deal with, racism, you have to deal with classism. There's a lot of economic factors that sort of come into play. So I have seen in communities of color and marginalized communities that they don't have the confidence to approach these sort of healthcare services. They sort of want to treat themselves at home. They want to do stuff that potentially they don't know could endanger them. So it becomes a thing of they don't want to access it. It could be that it's too expensive for them, or it could be that they're just thinking, oh, because I'm a marginalized population, I might not be taken seriously. I did some research on this for my class, public health class, and it is sort of seen that a lot of people, marginalized people that have moved in the US or in New York, don't want to get access to these facilities because they're afraid they'll be asked questions that will endanger them. A lot of them don't have insurance, so they're worried about the bills that might pile up. So all of these factors combined with stress can affect comprehensive health a lot. It can affect people's sexual reproductive health. It can affect women's choice. It can affect whether they want to start a family or not. So all of these combined can really, really have a major impact on the overall health of a community. The most basic step is, again, having these conversations, be it with families, be it with friends, sort of having these conversations so we can begin destigmatizing reproductive rights. We can begin destigmatizing these conversations, because in a lot of cultures we don't talk about reproductive rights. We don't talk about the menstrual cycles and how those products are really important for women, because it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. I have a lot of friends that work in Future for Fridays, and a lot of their chapters are sort of, especially the ones in the US, are sort of branching out to reproductive rights. They go participate in rallies that advocate for women's right to choose what they want to do with their bodies. They sort of advocate for abortion rights and all of that. So that is one that people can look into for sure.